Good afternoon, Trump family. Welcome to Open Source News. Thank you for joining me. God bless each and every one of you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news this Tuesday morning. In the criminal organization known as the FBI not only decided to go through Melania's panties and her drawers and her lingerie, and who knows, probably take back some for some evidence because they had to really investigate those panties. Because they are a bunch of criminals. That's what they do. Well, not only did they do that, it's right on par for this criminal organization ran by this government that we currently have. That is all into kids to decide to go ahead and rummage through Barron Trump's room as well. I know he's a little bit on the older side for Beto Biden there. But the goal that this criminal organization had to go ahead and go into Barron's room and throw it all asunder as well to try to find evidence or planning bug or whatever they were doing. This is beyond repairable. Disorganization needs to be dismantled and the agents, the leadership all need to be prosecuted to the fullest of the letter of the law. This cannot continue. So let's kind of take a look what we have here coming. It says how broken is the FBI. Well, guess whose bedroom? They rifled through looking for criminal evidence. Hunter Biden, or Barron Trump? Of course, it's not Hunter Biden, the one that has so much evidence that they decided to go ahead and sit on it, because they knew that if that evidence, that laptop would have actually been a story before the election, many Americans would have understood what type of household Joe Biden was raising. Since 2019, the FBI has had possession of Hunter Biden's laptop that he abandoned in a computer repair shop in Delaware. Thankfully to the owner of the laptop, or thankfully to the owner of the laptop repair store, John Paul Mac Isaac made copies of the hard drive that includes videos and photos of Hunter Biden's crack and prosecute crimes. The laptop even included a video of Hunter telling with his numerous prostitutes that Russian drug dealer stole another laptop from him. The laptop has also contained evidence of Hunter and Joe Biden to eat illegal multi-million-dollar pay-for-play schemes. The FBI officials buried disinformation of proven criminal actions. Hunter Biden has also committed several alleged crimes, when his girlfriend and his brother's widow took his illegal firearm and threw it in the garbage. The FBI has never rifled through 200 Biden's belongings at a pre-dawn raid. The FBI has never left his home and shambled at the rifling through his bedroom, and the FBI has never stormed the home of Hunter or his father, Joe Biden. The FBI did, however, rifle through the 16-year-old bear in Trump's bedroom during the raid on Mar-a-Lago, and they left a mess when they left. This was a shocking revelation Trump announced this last night at his rally in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The FBI is irredeemably broken. This organization absolutely needs to be dismantled. This is the position of the new right. We can no longer continue to allow these agencies to act with impunity against political opponents. This needs to stop, and this needs to stop now. We have a serious Republican Congress coming in. They will absolutely first of all defund these agencies, investigate them thoroughly, and then dismantle them after we have found all of the crimes they've been guilty of. So they can be prosecuted. That's what needs to be done. Not with just the FBI, there's other three-letter agencies as well, that needs to be handled the same way. This can no longer be the norm. We can no longer allow these agencies to run roughshod, and continue to act within a capacity of being able to influence elections, and that's what they continue to try to do. There is something happening at CNN, there is something going on at CNN, which is just lovely. Whether or not you think it goes far enough is completely irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, it is a massive cultural when it seems as though the new leadership and ownership group at CNN is paving a warpath against corrupt fake news left-wing journalism, or otherwise known as urine realism. And they are cleaning house with all of the fake news wokey journalists one at a time. And there's two ways that this is happening. Some people are just getting cancelled. I mean, if they have a primetime show, the only way to get rid of them is to cancel their show, and other journalists are just simply leaving the network or resigning. They're trying to make it seem as if, after 30 years of working at CNN, I'm taking my leave and moving on to other opportunities. Now, friends, they are being fired. They're being let go. Or there's negotiations behind the scenes which are essentially arming these individuals to resign. And the latest fake news casualty is none other than John Harwood, another one of those liberal journalists, blowhards. Oh my lord, some of these people are just so insufferable. You know the Brian Stelter is in the Chris Wallaces of the world who are constantly going on about the virtue of what it means to be a journalist and trying to present themselves all clean cotton as a real establishment journalist molded in the image of Walter Cronkite. But really, of course, behind that very thin veneer, that very shallow, totally unconvincing disguise, they're just the same as all the other fake news left-wing journalists with their condescending partisan crap, and that's exactly who CNN is. John Harwood is, and folks, he is gone. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on as another one bites the dust at CNN. They're truly cleaning house, folks. The question, of course, being who's next. We've got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright, folks. So here's the headline of the day: left-wing journalist John Harwood let go by CNN. CNN has parted ways with White House correspondent John Harwood, the left-wing journalist revealed on Friday. Personal news. Today is my last day at CNN, proud of the work thanks to my colleagues. I've been lucky to serve the best in American media: St. Petersburg Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, the NBC family, and CNN pets in American media. Alright, they're a little Johnny Harwood whenever you want to tell yourself that makes you sleep at night looking forward to figuring out what's next. And that's how you know right there that he got fired, because he doesn't have a backup plan. If he was just moving on to the next opportunity, then you don't just leave abruptly. You don't just get fired. You don't just get canned or sacked and then need to figure out, well, what's next on your path. Generally, you already have something else lined up, and then you give in your 2 weeks' notice and you move on to another opportunity, usually moving upward. But John Harwood is not in that position. No, not at all. A spokesperson for CNN confirmed that Harwood was no longer employed in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter. "We appreciate John's work covering the White House and we wish him all the best," and that message from CNN can basically be translated to, well, something like this: by have a beautiful day. I mean, they kicked him out the door and said, don't let the door hit you on the way out. No long message or celebrating his career. Just, we appreciate your work now, please get the data. Year. The outlet reported that Harwood learned that he was being let go by CNN last month. He joined the cable news network in January 2020. After working as the chief Washington correspondent for CNBC, the reasons for Harwood's departure are as of yet unknown, but he is not the first highly partisan journalist to leave since Co Kreisliike took over after Warner Brothers Discovery acquired CNN earlier this year. 2 weeks ago, CNN announced that chief media correspondent Brian Stelter would be let go on his show Reliable Sources cancelled. Stelter had long antagonized conservatives who accused him of being biased against the right. Fox News and former President Donald Trump. Harwood has similarly faced criticism for being sharply critical of Trump and the Republican Party, which he called fundamentally broken. In 2019 and 2016, hacked Hillary Clinton campaign emails published by WikiLeaks revealed that Harwood complimented Clinton in conversations with campaign chairman John Podesta, during which he offered to interview her on topics she would be comfortable with. In another email exchange, Hart would ask the Clinton campaign to suggest questions that he would ask a Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush in an interview. So essentially, John Harwood, who presents himself as a neutral ethical journalist, was caught in 2016 cozying up to the Clinton campaign in order to get an interview with them. And of course, like we've seen with so many of these dishonest left-wing media hacks, handing over the questions before the interview, trying to fabricate an interview scenario rather than actually asking hard-hitting real questions like a journalist, as opposed to Harwood's performance as a moderator during the October 2015 GOP presidential primary debate drew widespread scorn from Republicans because at times it seems as if he wants to debate the candidates himself rather than moderate their discussion. Reminds me of Chris Wallace from 2020. Then candidate Donald Trump called him a quote disaster and said that he is probably finished as a reporter in a blistering review of Harwood's behavior. Harwood leaves CNN at a time when the company is losing profits and viewers. The network's new leadership under Litch has taken steps to return to neutral, nonpartisan news coverage, including letting go of talent. And clearly Harwood is another fake news casualty, and that we probably doesn't have great name recognition. Most people don't know who the hell he is. He's probably one of the most deserving fake news journalists to get fired. And it was interesting, because I've been identifying that certain people at CNN have been acting a little bit erratic lately. The network as a whole has been trying to moderate, trying to be as neutral as possible since Chris Lynch has taken over as CEO. And I've pointed out that there's a couple of people that are currently standing out at CNN for their erratic behavior. And my prediction was that most likely these individuals know that they're going to get fired. And so they're basically trying to burn the whole thing down, or they have nothing to lose. So they're just acting as partisan as possible. We covered that moment with Don Lemond not too long ago. Well, it seems as though that definitely holds up with Mr. John Harwood, or like, I usually refer to these dishonest CNN people, Little John Harwood, because right before he was let go by the network, this was his on-air contribution to the conversation. Everyone listen to this. They are standing by the message that President Biden offered. Of course, it was a political speech. We're in a midterm re-election year. The issues that he's talking about are inherently political. But I think it's also important to say that the core point he made in that political speech about a threat to democracy is true. Now, that's something that's not easy for us as journalists to say. We're brought up to believe there's two different political parties with different points of view, and we don't take sides and honest disagreements between them. But that's not what we're talking about. These are not honest disagreements. The Republican Party right now is led by a dishonest demagogue. Many Republicans are rallying behind his lies about the 2020 election and other things as well. And a significant portion or a sufficient portion of the constituency that they're leading attack the Capitol on January 6 violently by offering pardons or suggesting pardons for those people who violently attacked the Capitol, which you've been pointing out numerous times this morning. Donald Trump made Joe Biden's point for him. Okay, does that too? You seem like a journalist. It's the same kind of thing that we saw from Brian Stelter. We as journalists aren't supposed to act in this specific way, but Donald Trump is a lying demagogue, evil dictator, and everything that the Democrats are saying is true and a threat to democracy and so on. Insurrection, that's not journalism. That's partisan politics. And this John Harwood guy is the most deceptive kind of journalist, wearing the fancy suit and speaking in a very specific tone, highly educated man. I mean, I'll give him that he pulls off the look, but the actual content itself, the guy's a hack. And is it any surprise to you that literally right after this moment, CNN, John Harwood is let go from the network? This is probably the straw that broke the camel's back. They told him that they were letting him go. And then he pulled this stunt and they said, listen, you got to go as in pack your things up immediately and walk out the door, because clearly this is the exact opposite of what the new ownership group at CNN wants. This is the same kind of divisive, destructive rhetoric that has led to the demise of the network. And just like Joe Biden has injected so much poison, so much venom into the public sphere. Where do you get off as a journalist in such a self-righteous, condescending manner? Tell the viewers that Joe Biden is actually totally correct in his assessment, albeit political, that all you Republicans are part of a fascistic group blindly following the lies of a fascist demagogue and Donald Trump. It's one thing when Rachel Maddow says it's another one. I suppose it's CNN journalist says it. It has no place in the realm of journalism, period. And if you want to throw away basic journalistic ethics, and you want to take that stance, then so be it. Don't be surprised when you get fired, because this, my friends, is a fireable offense. And that should essentially be the standard at any suppose ID news network, period. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. John Harwood, my final message: good riddance. I'm sure the New York Times is probably hiring. Hopefully you folks enjoyed this chat this morning. Thank you very